So this is what scientists actually use out in the wild to capture coral eggs and bring them into the lab. So what they do is they will actually place this over the coral. Then this will be used as like a vacuum to suck up the coral, and then the coral eggs will actually be inside this little test tube right here. So this is how they will collect the coral eggs to experiment them and to make them adapt to the acidification of the ocean later on.
So there are coral reproductive methods that vary. Some species, such as brain and star corals, are hermaphrodites, so they actually produce both sperm and eggs at the same time. And then other corals, such as elkhorn and boulder corals, are gonochoric, meaning they produce single-sex colonies. In these species, all of the polyps in one colony produce only sperm, and all of the polyps in another colony produce only eggs. So after they produce those eggs and those sperm, the coral will reproduce, the coral eggs will reproduce, and then they will actually find a place to settle on the ocean floor, and thousands of polyps will go into that one area and create the coral that we all know and love. Now, the really interesting thing about the method that we have been using is that they actually use this method in Puerto Rico and tested it as well. So the method that we showed in the very beginning of the video with the big net, they actually have been able to be successful with using that and bringing those eggs into a lab and making them not only adjust more to future acidification in the ocean, but also adjust to certain diseases that affect corals. So they're doing a really great job in labs taking these eggs and making them adjust to any future problems that corals can have in the future. So what we are doing here is a simulation of what they actually do out in the wild to grab coral eggs. So in here we have the coral eggs. Usually they are this color as well. They're usually a very light pink color, and we're using the net to catch the eggs. Then we will make sure that we're not touching them with our hands, because our hands actually have an oil that will kill the corals if we do touch them. So we have to put the eggs very carefully from the net into the test tube without actually touching the coral eggs themselves.